Starcasting to you from the City of Angels. Hello everyone, I'm Kiris. Thank you so much for being here and listening to the Voice of Astrology podcast. This is our astrology for the week beginning Sunday, February 12th through Saturday, February 18th, 2023. Let's journey together with astrology and explore how to connect with the stars, the planets, the energies, the astrology cosmic superpower. Sunday, February 12th. The week is starting off with the Sun and Saturn close together in the sign of fixed air Aquarius. Saturn is what's called under the beams of the Sun, moving towards an exact conjunction. But with this Saturn-Sun together in Aquarius, the Sun in Aquarius is in its detriment. It's the furthest away from the Sun's natural home placement in the sign of Leo. Saturn is strong. Saturn is in its domicile in the sign of Aquarius. Saturn is in what's called his chariot. So typically when a planet goes under the beams of the Sun, which weakens the power of the planet, in this case, because the Sun is in his detriment and Saturn is very strong in his chariot, there is a strength to Saturn. The week is starting off with Saturn, which inhibits. Saturn dampens things. This Sun-Saturn conjunction that we're building towards, and as we're starting off the week with Saturn under the beams of the Sun, this is about not being discouraged, not being down on yourself, not feeling like, oh, what's the use? It's not going to work out. Because again, Saturn can have a very glum, dour influence. The Sun is all about expression, and the Sun in Aquarius is about moving into the future. And so as we move towards this Sun-Saturn conjunction, this week is starting off on a serious note. Now, along with that, we are also starting off the week on February 12th with the moon in her fall in the sign of Scorpio, fixed water Scorpio. The moon is the emotional body. When the moon is in her fall in Scorpio, Scorpio being ruled by Mars, Mars the warrior, Mars having to do with things of weapons, knives, things of that nature. The moon is what we need. And the moon in her fall in Scorpio, along with that Sun-Saturn, is about not being hard on yourself. So just know that things will and can work out as we start off this week with very powerful forces that are quite serious. Now, to go back to the moon in Scorpio, the moon in Scorpio is the imprint, the emotional imprints that we have taken on before there was any choice in the matter. As babies, we're all socialized, conditioned, brainwashed. We're trained, in other words. And we're not just brainwashed intellectually. We also take on the emotional imprint. In other words, how we treat ourselves emotionally. Babies watch and imitate. And so we not only watch and imitate the behavior, but we watch and imitate and take on what is being taught to us emotionally. So if we have a caretaker that loves us, is happy to make us happy, we imitate that and then do that to ourselves. If we get something very different than that, then we can watch and imitate the emotional behavior as far as how we treat ourselves. So with the Sun-Saturn and the moon in Scorpio ruled by Mars, and also as we start off the week, we have the moon making an opposition to Uranus in Taurus. So two fixed signs of the zodiac, fixed water Scorpio, fixed earth Taurus, making a separation aspect in opposition to each other. This is very intense in the sense of things that appear to you like they will not change. Just know that, yes, of course, things will change. They always change. And just remember, if you're feeling down, if you're feeling discouraged, like, oh, it's never going to change, yes, it will. Monday, February 13th, we have the fourth quarter moon at 24 degrees Scorpio. Now, the fourth quarter moon is when we move from the fourth quarter to the new moon. We're making that crossover point. The moon at 24 degrees Scorpio brings in a Cancerian influence. It's the third decanate. So the Cancerian influence with the fourth quarter moon at 24 degrees Scorpio is the feeling of, where is my home? What is familiar to you? The place you're trying to find that you would say, this is where I want my surroundings, my family, my home, where I feel safe, where I feel secure. Now, in that moving towards the new moon with this Cancerian influence, the 24 degrees Scorpio ruled by Mars is about releasing things that are a block to you feeling comfortable. The sign of Cancer, the moon at home in Cancer, that is all about where and how and what makes you feel comfortable. So this third decanate with that Cancerian influence, with the fourth quarter moon, Scorpio, releasing things that are not comfortable, cozy, homey for you. In other words, things that don't make you feel good, as we move towards the new moon at 1 degree Pisces. The moving from fourth quarter to new moon is when the light of the moon is decreasing. And we're not only releasing things that need to go at this time that are not home for you, it's also an inner reflective time as the moon decreases in light. That's about going within, reflection. And so what is comfortable for you as far as time to yourself, alone time? So many people are so busy all the time that they barely have time to think. Never mind alone reflective time. To dream, to journal, to go within, to get deeper in touch with yourself, as we are in this cycle of fourth quarter to new moon. So having a comfortable place, a comfy chair, some time to yourself at the very least. Time is a very precious commodity and luxury for many people. So as the moon decreases in light, carve out that special place and time for yourself where you're at home and where you can feel into and release what needs to go at this time in preparation for the new moon action that we take at the time of the new moon with 1 degree Pisces. Also on Monday the 13th, we have the moon in her fall in Scorpio making a square to the sun in Aquarius and Saturn in Aquarius. Now the moon in Scorpio is intense, it's emotional, it's watery, it's all about the feelings. Sun, Saturn, and Aquarius in the element of air is light, and it's light in the sense of the way out of the emotions, moon in Scorpio, that are too heavy to carry is to change your focus and put your mind in focus on the bright future ahead. Visualize it, imagine it. It helps to get you there. And this is also how we're starting off the week. On Monday, it is the moon's day. So see the brightness and the clarity ahead. Tuesday, February 14th, happy Valentine's Day. Now on Tuesday, the 14th, we now have the moon in mutable fire Sagittarius. And Sagittarius is funny, optimistic, upbeat. It's so much fun. loves to go on adventures. The moon on this day in Sagittarius is making a fire trine flow to Jupiter, its ruler, in Aries. Now, with this moon trine Jupiter in the element of air involving Sagittarius, Jupiter, Aries, this is starting off the day in Valentine's Day with way over the top high expectations. Whenever we look at a moon Jupiter aspect to each other, the desire and the expectations are just beyond off the charts, because Jupiter keeps going and going. It doesn't recognize limitations. Sagittarius over-exaggerates, doesn't know when to quit. Jupiter in Aries, Aries is very impatient. Aries wants everything yesterday. And so as we start off with a feel-good element of fire involving the moon and Jupiter in fire signs, if we don't temper those over-the-top expectations a little bit, if we're not a little bit patient, then later on we have the moon in Sagittarius making an opposition aspect to Mars in Gemini. Gemini being ruled by Mercury. And Mars is it's Mars. It's aggressive. It can be cutting with the sign of Gemini, like, I have to win this argument, I have to win this debate. And so if we are not careful, then that aspect of a moon opposition Mars in the signs of Sagittarius, the philosophy, the beliefs, and then Mars in Gemini, which can ticky-tack and pick, then what started off with potentially a beautiful holiday can end in a separation, a battle, a war of words if we're not careful. Again, go back to the beginning of this energy, this cosmic superpower, as we start off Tuesday the 14th, which is how high and how big and impossible are these expectations that I have for this day, even if you're celebrating the holiday or not. Because if we're not careful, and Aries can be very selfish, me first, then it can end up in a direction with an energy that you're not wanting it to go in with that moon opposition Mars. Wednesday, February 15th, we still have the moon in Sagittarius, now making a square to Neptune in Pisces and Venus exalted in Pisces. So this is the blending of fire and water. Sagittarius is the fire, Pisces is the water. We're involving squares here, the square to Neptune, the square to Venus and Pisces. This can be stormy, it can be passionate, it's the blending of hot and cold, it can be steamy, but it also can be confusion in the sense of what happened, where did I go wrong, where did we go wrong. The moon in Sagittarius on the 15th also makes a sextile, a 60-degree angle of opportunity with a very favorable outcome to the Sun in Aquarius and Saturn in Aquarius. So if we're willing to put in some effort, then the moon making nice aspects to the Sun and Saturn, that's very exciting because we're looking at the blending of air and fire. And the air feeds the flames of the fire. So something can grow, something can be very positive. When it comes to your business, because Saturn is business, and what you want to express and shine a light on, that is the Sun. This is a nice aspect that we have here with the moon involving sextiles to the Sun and Saturn. Saturn always says, plod away, take your time, do it in the appropriate steps. Right after we've had all of that high expectation and impatience with the moon involved with an aspect to Jupiter, and then the moon in Sagittarius having that blending with Neptune and Venus in water. So things can calm down and get more positive after those aspects that we had. Thursday the 16th, this is the day of the exact conjunction between the Sun and Saturn. Now, before that exact conjunction, the moon changes signs and goes into her detriment of Capricorn. When the moon is in Capricorn, the moon is in her exile. She's the furthest away from her natural home placement of Cancer. The moon is what we need. It's necessary. It's essential. The moon is not a want. Wants change. They come and go all of the time. When the moon is the furthest away from its natural home placement, when the moon is in her detriment in Capricorn, and this is taking place before the exact moment of the Sun-Saturn conjunction, the moon in Capricorn is about realizing, what? I have needs? What are those? The moon in Capricorn is about getting in touch with what it is that you need in the area of how you define success. Success means different things to different people. But Saturn in Capricorn, that is all about going to the mountain of success, achievement. If you have been going in a direction, believing that this is something you need, and then the Sun-Saturn conjunction, which says, stop, go in a different direction. Whenever we get a stop, a block, you keep trying to smash through something that just isn't happening. That's the cosmic superpower trying to help you out by saying, hold on a second here. You're getting a block from the Sun-Saturn conjunction about how you want to move into the future. That's Aquarius. And so it doesn't mean give up on your dream, not follow through on your dream, that your dream won't happen. Of course it will. But the Sun-Saturn conjunction is, maybe look at the dream or your goals or your sense of achievement and success with a different perspective, a different way of going about it, a different attitude about it, because the Sun-Saturn conjunction in Aquarius is the mindset, how my attitude, how I'm thinking about something, communicating about it, how and why and what I want to move towards in the future. What makes you happy and what you need comes first. Now, the moon is not only our needs, but if the needs of the moon are not fulfilled, the moon is also irrational fears, anxiety. The moon is lunacy. So the contentment and the happiness of the moon, regardless of any aspects going on, just the moon. And I always say, and have been for years, feed your moon. We all have places, wherever it may be, when we just know and feel that I belong here. So as you're trying to move into the future, with that moon having entered Capricorn, then look at different perspectives and angles of where you belong now and in the future. Because as we started off the week and as we've been building towards this conjunction, the feel of the Saturn Sun, as I started off this podcast, it can be a feeling of discouragement. Saturn, somber. And the cosmic power is saying, don't give up. Keep going. Stay the course. You may have to try things a little differently, but stay the course. And you will find your way home where you belong. What is right for you, in other words. Saturn always makes us do the work, but the reward after we do the work is just so sublime, because when you do put in the work, you can own it. You know it's yours. You earned it, and that's Saturn. We're going to earn it one way or another. Friday, February 17th, the moon lightens up. The moon goes into fixed air Aquarius. Now, before we get to the moon in fixed air Aquarius on Friday, Venus's day, we have a really nice aspect. Mercury is now in Aquarius fixed air, and Mercury makes a sextile aspect to Jupiter in Aries. So this blending of Mercury and Jupiter, air and fire, and it's Mercury and Jupiter. One Mercury-Jupiter aspects have a lot of sense of humor. And so looking with this lens, Mercury and Aquarius, looking towards the future with a sense of play, with a sense of comedy, with humor. It's happy. It's Jupiter. This interplay between Mercury and Jupiter is now a lightening up cosmic energy that sees the humor and the fun, of course, in the increased Jupiter in all things. After that happens, then again, we get the moon entering Aquarius, fixed air Aquarius, as we start to close out the week. But this is much lighter, this energy, as opposed to the beginning of the week. Saturday, February 18th, we have the solar ingress into the sign of Pisces. When the sun goes into mutable water Pisces, the last sign of the zodiac, the first thing to know is that Pisces rules over the feet, and the feet are symbolic of so many things. The sign of Pisces has to do with, because it is the last sign of the zodiac, we're wrapping up the zodiacal year, getting ready for the spring equinox. The solar ingress into Pisces is taking a look at what are the tracks that you are leaving behind. What is your legacy that you want to give back? The tracks are also how we walk through this earth. Do we walk lightly? Do we walk compassionately? How are we moving, leaving the tracks through our life? What are we leaving behind? What is the legacy? If there was something that you had to decide, this is what I want to give back and leave, what would that be? That is the solar ingress into the sign of Pisces. Pisces is ruled by Jupiter, and Jupiter is protection, blessing. Jupiter, the greater benefic, gives gifts. Jupiter wants to bestow not only gifts, but Jupiter is gratitude. Jupiter says, thank you for all of it. Jupiter is faith and belief. And was I ever in control of anything to begin with? Or was there always a higher power guiding me and moving me in the direction that was your destiny? Think about this. How many things in your life that changed your life? How many things that changed your life just fell in your lap? People you were destined to meet, places you were supposed to go. It was never controlled. It was never planned out. It was destiny. So as you're moving through life in the sign of Pisces, and what are the tracks you're making and leaving behind? The faith and the belief that if something is destined to be, it's going to happen. It did happen. This happens all the time in life, where you weren't planning or expecting, where you weren't controlling or expecting, and something just came into your life, and it rocked your world and changed the whole trajectory of your life. That happens to us all. And so this is the solar ingress into Pisces right before the new moon at 1 degree Pisces. You got to believe. Go on your journey and make the tracks, but also know there are some things that are meant for you. People, places, again, all of it. Some things are meant for you. It belongs to you. So when you get the no, when you get the Sun Saturn block that says, wait a minute, Try a different direction. Look at it from a different perspective. Keep going and take heart, but try it in a different way. Then that solar ingress right before the new moon, dark balsamic side of the moon, is see the humor in so many things. See the sense of humor, because what's destined is going to happen. Thank you so much for being here and listening to the Voice of Astrology podcast. Have a fabulous week, everyone. I wish you nothing but peace and love. Thank you. I'll see you all in the stars. Thank you.